generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet. Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. In today's video we got our monthly Shoot the Sheev news, where we come together here at the end of the month and talk about some of the noteworthy things that happened throughout the month in relation to Star Wars. So we're going to kick it off today talking about movies and TV shows. We did get two shows this month that both came and went because they both wrapped up here in the month of May. The first one being Tales of the Underworld. It debuted on Fortnite, actually, of all places, because if you went to like the Star Wars event that was happening 2 days before the episodes debuted, you got to watch the first two. And then when May 4 came around, you got to watch the rest of them. But we didn't watch them until May 4. And we do have a video up talking about our thoughts. But just in general, what did you think of the show this time around? Was it better than Tales of the Empire?
I liked it quite a bit. I don't know that I'd say better than Tales of the Empire because I feel like they were fairly on par with one another. They both focused on such different things. I might say it was better than that. I don't know. I definitely think it was better than Tales of the Jedi. That one I was not a big fan of.
Oh, yeah, I guess because you didn't understand it.
Yep. Which, if you ask me, is a valid reason. But this one I thought was pretty entertaining. It was pretty good.
I thought this one was better than Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Empire was kind of a flop for me just because it really didn't really deal with parts of the Empire that I cared about. So this one we had Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress. I think the Cad Bane stuff was the better of the two, but Ventress was good too. I think they could have done a little bit more with it, but um,
I would agree.
Cad Bane's section was really good.
Hi- His seemed like more of a complete story, whereas hers almost seemed like, a couple episodes of Bad Batch where it was just, parts of an adventure and not really a whole story.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, like we, I think what was so impactful about Cad Bane's is that it was kind of like his origin story. Like we saw what he was like as a kid. How did he, become a part of this life? And it was very much a Star Wars Western, and which is what it's supposed to be for him, right? He's basically the outcast cowboy that is a good gunslinger and everything, and so. I think his hit a little bit harder because there was more to explore, whereas Ventress, like you said, it was kind of like a one and done, you know, what do we call that for D&D? Quick shot or something? What's it called?
Yeah. Yep.
Where it's just
Or a one shot.
one shot. There you go. So it was fun while it lasted, but ultimately I feel like Cad Bane's is going to be much more rememberable. Um, our other show that came out and ended this month, Andor, right? Andor season two. We did go through every week and we gave our thoughts on Andor season two. I would say that it was better than season one at times. I feel like season one had better big epic moments than season two, but at the same time, I think season two had better the inner working things that are going on. Like the scene between Dedra and Luthen was definitely the pinnacle moment of season two for myself. But I also just I absolutely loved Dedra's character ever since. towards the end of season one where we kind of got that glimpse of her being human with Cyril. That's kind of what drew me in is like, she's a hardcore empire, but at the same time, there is a person in there. And it was kind of different to see that from the Imperial point of view, where she's just not a plain old deserter, because that's kind of a story that's happening over and over with Disney is that there's a stormtrooper that goes rogue and joins the other team. Well, that wasn't the case here. It was, Dedra is Empire. She's doing everything she can to stick to the ways of the Empire, but also support Cyril, and she never gives up on that Imperial side of her, which, ends up getting her into a little bit of trouble. But what did you think of Andor season two?
I feel like it was hit and miss. There were parts of it, especially the first three episodes, where I thought, wow, I guess I really had it good with season one, even though I wasn't a big fan of season one. But there were other parts of it that I think picked up quite a bit more and were more intriguing. I think especially the last couple episodes, even though it wasn't really the season finale that, I was maybe hoping for, but at the same time, that had the most K2SO, and that was the whole thing. He was the guy I was looking for this whole time, so I wish we could have seen a lot more of him, but
I would agree that the season finale was kind of lackluster. Like, I feel like season one had such a good ending with like that skirmish in the streets between, the people trying to rebel up against the Empire and stuff. And here, yes, we got some things, but it wasn't anywhere near what season one's was. It was more exposition driven of a season finale as opposed to you know things happening all over the place and exciting.
I feel like of the last three episodes, the first two were probably my favorite, being, the scene with Luthen and Dedra, and then trying to get Luthen out of the hospital, how that went down, and then the rescue mission for Clea. But then once they found her and K2, got through everybody, that's where it kind of like, the interest level just really tanked after that. Like there wasn't anything to look forward to. It was almost just like a way of saying goodbye to your favorite characters at the end of the show, as if the show had been running for decades, even though it hadn't. It was only season two.
Right. And also we know because this is going to be the series finale, they had to basically butt up to Rogue One, and I think that's kind of what hindered it a little bit. It almost kind of felt like because the show was supposed to be five seasons, and almost felt like season one was a season, and then the four subsections kind of felt like maybe a greatest hits of what those other four seasons were supposed to be.
I could see that.
But I don't know. I'm I'm ready to shift my focus over to I think like Ahsoka or something. Um, Also, I think I enjoyed this season a little bit more just because my expectations were better set. I know for season one I was expecting way different, and because I knew what to expect this time, I don't think I was, you know, as prepared to be let down as I was for season one. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about board games. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of news this month when it comes to board games. Honestly, I'm waiting to hear a bit more about the Star Wars Villainous expansion because we're supposed to be getting one here this summer. But the one piece of information that I do have for board games, and it honestly, it was perfect timing, right? So there is a miniatures game called Shatterpoint that is pretty popular, and there's a lot of expansions coming out for it. But there was two expansions that were, about Andor. So you could get one of the packs that had Andor, K2SO, and some Rebels, or you could get from the Imperial side of things, you could get one with Krennic, Death Troopers, and Shore Troopers. And I'm like sitting here thinking, where's Dedra? Like, come on. The one thing that I cared about, or the one person that I cared about in that whole second season, and we don't have them here in these packs. Like, if I were to try to play this game, that might be one that would draw me to it. I know for Sarah, it's like, oh, K2SO, that's the one we want. But guaranteed, Sarah would think twice, knowing that each of these packs is $50 a pop.
Holy smokes, yeah, I didn't know that. Um, well, for the good guys, you mentioned Cassie and K2, so two main characters, and then some troopers. And then you said Krennic and two different kinds of troopers. I was like, what do you mean Krennic and two different kinds of troopers? Shouldn't it be Krennic and another main character and then troopers on the side? Like, what
Well,
the
that's
heck?
the thing is I think even though they released this alongside, or at least got the hype going alongside Andor Season 2, these packs very much sound like Rogue One packs because, these are the people that were down on Scarif fighting
Mm,
the good fight, trying to get the plans relayed to the ship. So that makes sense why these ones were picked. If it was focused on Andor, I think a couple other things could have been like even Luthen would have been an interesting one to throw in there. Maybe they could
oh
have had
yeah.
an extra pack each, maybe two for Rebels and two for the Empire, and really get some of those more unique characters from the show. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah. I know if we were to get into Shatterpoint, which I have my doubts that we will, just because that's an expensive game and we're actually in the middle of trying to gather as much as we possibly can with Imperial Assault because we want to try that game out, but it's like, well, I want to try it when we have everything available, you know? That way you can have so many other possibilities, but um I think that's just one of those things where you pick one and you stick with it, and then you wait to try to get into the other ones, if that happens down the line. But part of me says no, just because I know Star Wars games, they don't have a lot of life to them, and that's really, really sad.
Well, I think the other part of it too is not just cost, but time. Is do you have let's say you did pour all this money into getting all the different things for both games, and well, okay, you've got one weekend and a handful of hours. You can't possibly play both to the full extent of how much money you poured into them.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like it is what it is, and my hope would be like you could get like a whole group of friends that come over, like every other Saturday night or something, and sit around the table and play Imperial Assault. Because if you're not aware what you can do with that game, because I think when it first came out, it was more skirmish based, but then they had an app come out where basically the app is kind of like your dungeon master, and then you and your friends react to it and play out your own story. So. Um, I think that's what we're focusing on the most here. I don't think, I don't know, but I don't think Shatterpoint has that component to it where you can play like different stories. I think that is more strictly skirmish type scenarios. Um, all right, video games. Sarah, I know you got some news about video games. Which one did you get?
I actually found this from an advertisement for Monopoly Go. So I am not a Monopoly Go player just because I just never got into it. But they do have a new Star Wars event going on right now. Did you happen to find the details about it? Because I saw this a couple weeks ago and I don't remember all the details.
No, I mean, I would imagine there's some sort of like paid battle pass type thing where you can unlock different Star Wars tokens. I played Monopoly Go for like 1 week and just me personally, I just can't get into phone games very much. I feel like they are the type of game where I have to play every day to get my my money's worth out of it, even though I don't put money into it, but it's the mindset, right? To get as much of those timed unlockables as you can. And I lose interest right away because of that.
It looks like there's 22 exclusive sticker sets to collect. There's also, or each one of them with a Monopoly Go and Star Wars story inspired by the saga's most memorable moments. And you can enjoy the adventures of various characters such as Han Solo and Chewbacca, Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, R2-D2 and C-3PO, Grogu, and more. Um, if you had logged in on May 4th, you got a special item. Of course, that's in the past, so sorry. Let's see. There was also 4 Star Wars themed channels running across, or I'm sorry, challenges across their community challenge. Wow, I am mixing up my words. Star Wars challenges across their community channels, being Facebook, Discord, X, and YouTube, where you can solve different puzzles to get things. There was Pod and Rebel Racers, which looks like that's a different event. Tatooine, Jawa, and Tuscan Treasures. That sounds pretty fun. There's a lot of they cartoonized everything to be in like the Monopoly Go style. It looks really cute, if you ask me.
Maybe we should have tried it out, but it's probably going to end up being too late because the month of May is almost over.
I think I saw this event goes until July 2nd, so
Oh,
I
wow.
think there's a whole extra month to be able to continue enjoying these things. There's light side versus dark side faction battles.
Oh, I'd definitely team up on the dark side. Let's go. Destroy the rebellion. The
Yeah,
one
I think that's about it.
the one mobile game that I have actually been thinking about because I see the advertisement all the time and I'm like, this looks pretty cool. But again, I probably play it for 2 or 3 weeks and then I stop playing it again is the EA's Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And there's like a special free unlock for Darth Maul, and then the event that's going on has a lot of like key moments from uh different Star Wars scenes that looks really cool, and it looks like a lot of fun, but I know myself. I will play that game for a couple weeks and then stop playing it, and it's just, in my opinion, just not worth my time. You looking up some more stuff about Monopoly Go, or
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to double check the dates here.
I say another one that we have is Fortnite has had a lot of Star Wars content since the beginning of May. Honestly, if you're a Star Wars fan and you were looking to get back into Fortnite, that now was the time because I've seen so many cool things online with different videos and whatnot. It's like if I would have gotten back into it, this probably would have been the time. But I don't know. It's another one of those games where, you have to stay up on things, you have to complete the challenges. And we used to have a group that would play like every weekend when the new challenges would drop. We'd basically complete them all in one night together and then, wait for the next week to come around. But I don't know. Everything just kind of fell apart.
So yeah, it does go until July 2nd for Monopoly Go. And also in the Star Wars game news, another one that I'm not sure is on your list or not, is that Disney Dreamlight Valley had
Oh,
a special Star Wars type event. I'm not sure how long that one runs or quite what all is included in that. But there's various characters and things in the shops that you can get that are Star Warsy from the Star Wars universe, which is pretty cool because I think up until now everything's been strictly Disney, like Disney slash Pixar, I should say. So no Marvel, no Star Wars. This is like their first thing outside of the Disney Pixar realm. So I think that's pretty cool.
yeah, I would agree. Um, we haven't played Dreamlight in quite some time either, so um, it's been a minute on a lot of these games for us, but it did look really cool. I know my sister plays Dreamlight a lot and she really enjoyed it. So I did see some of the unlocks and they were pretty neat. I will say.
They've got Padme's lakeside gown, and that looks really cool. Like it's really,
I
really
think they
pretty.
had lightsabers and like your
Yep.
pet could be a droid and stuff.
They've got different furniture that you can get to.
Yeah. In my
Unfortunately, I
opinion,
don't. I was just sorry. One last thing to close it out. I don't have the dates for that. I'm not sure if that's still going or not, um, or when that would end.
me neither. In my opinion, probably the most exciting video game news, just because maybe it gives us a little bit of hope. The Battlefront 2 community has been, really pushing for another Battlefront game. And the community actually organized to have a whole bunch of people log in on a certain day. I can't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but so many people logged in. I'm pretty sure the servers crashed right away. And then, they kind of spread it out a little bit so that, they could play. Um, and what the message that they're trying to send is, hey, we want a new Battlefront game. That game, I think Battlefront 2 came out in 2017 because I think that launched like right before The Last Jedi because their first piece of DLC came out for The
Yep,
Last Jedi.
you're correct.
And so it's almost been a decade. That's wild to think about. Because I remember being super stoked for that game when it came out and playing the heck out of it. Um, from what the developers have said, is that they think it'd be really fun to get the band back together to their words, not mine, to do a new project. And one of the things that they mentioned is that the way they could see it happening if it were to happen was if they did some sort of like remaster or re-release of Battlefront 2 in like 2027/2028, and they said when a new piece of hardware comes out, so we may be having the PlayStation 6 coming out in the next couple of years. But their initial plan would be to re-release Battlefront 2 with some updates, and then while that's all going on, also creating Battlefront 3 to come out maybe in 2029/2030, which is still a ways out, but if they deliver a nice quality game that has no microtransactions, aside from a season pass, I will pay for that. But none of the microtransaction crap. Um, I could see that game being a success because after they had their first initial whoopsie and then they cleaned it all up and then they were releasing content consistently with new heroes and new maps, they were doing really well. It's shocking that they stopped, making that game, but there's so many other things that they could do even within canon and also that they could just create and make their own canon that could be a lot of fun. So if that does happen, Sarah, I will disappear for a little while.
Well, wasn't Battlefront 2 where we had the Ewoks,
Yeah,
like in the
that
forest?
that like nighttime mode where the
Yeah.
Ewoks are hunting the stormtroopers.
Can you imagine if we had a bunch of Babu freaks in a different mode? Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd
Cool.
be pretty wild. Those are even smaller, so I don't know about that, but that would be pretty wild.
Or Kawaki and monkey lizards.
Yeah, well, you're thinking about all these little things. And I say I'm thinking like they could bring Gungans into the mix. They could bring um I don't know, maybe there's some weird turf war that happens between sand people and the humans out on Tatooine and we can explore something. I don't know. I feel like sky's the limit when it comes to Star Wars, and so um maybe some different perspective, some cool new features in that game could really reignite that passion within the Battlefront community. And I mean, How stupid is it that it hasn't been since 2017 that Star Wars, like purely Star Wars, hasn't had a multiplayer shooter? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Aside, I mean, of course, they make appearances in Fortnite, they make appearances in Destiny, but there's no like concrete Star Wars game that's brand new that is a multiplayer shooter.
Wouldn't the oh, I'm gonna blank on the name. It was like Fortnite, but it didn't last very long. What was that Star Wars game that
Oh,
it
Star Wars Hunters?
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't count. That game lasted 9 months. So, and that's not Battlefront. That was them trying to do a small arena shooter, which I thought the game was fun. It was addicting, but it had so much stuff going on for it that I definitely saw as a turnoff as a gamer. So it is what it is on that one. And then my last piece here I got today, there's a lot of new Lego sets that dropped this month. Specifically, I think they came out on May 4th, May the 4th be with you. They had Jango Fett's, they call it the Fire Spray class starship on the box, but we all know it's Jango Fett's Slave One. Kylo Ren's command shuttle. And a chopper astromech droid. They also had this other one where it was like the Star Wars logo, and you could build that as well. But these are like the characters and ships that came out. I know for me, I think Chopper would be a really cool one to put together. Jango Fett's Slave One, that would be cool too. I think we actually have Boba Fett's ship downstairs, but I don't think we have Django's where it's blue and silver.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Typically am.
I don't know that I go that far.
All right, did you have any other Star Wars noteworthy things to talk about?
I thought there was another game that had a Star Wars theme come out recently. A game that we don't play, but I'm not finding it. So, I don't think so.
All right, well, that was our monthly news for Shoot the Sheev. Again, this is where we come together at the end of the month to talk about some of the things that happened during the month that are noteworthy. So, if you enjoy this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Drop us a like if you like the video. And then, of course, if there is a Star Wars news piece that came out that we didn't cover that you think should have been covered, drop it in the comments down below. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.